Good morning, 138. How's everybody doing today? I want to talk to you a little bit about our upcoming essay with Pat Barker's Regeneration and our essay, which is a creative essay. I'll talk about that in a minute. So first thing is you do need to get the book. As I mentioned in the announcement, the original link I had went down. Usually I can find some alternatives to that. I wasn't able to this time. I searched as much as I can. There's still a free option, which is to sign up for a 30-day trial with the link that I put in the module for you. So if that's something you want to do, go for it. But you do have three other good options. Looking on Amazon, you can order the book for like $4 plus $4 shipping. If you want to just follow the link I gave you and purchase it on Google, it's $12.99, or you can go to a local library and check it out. It's a very popular book. You're not going to have any problem finding it anywhere, but just make sure you're on top of it so you can read it. It's not particularly long, but I want you to have it in your hands given the short time frame of the class. Okay, about the essay. The essay is more, just say, emotional and creative than anything that we've had so far. What I'm looking for in the essay is that you understand, it's sort of let's call it a meta essay. The book is a metafiction and the essay is a meta essay. It's a fiction about a fiction, right? And it takes fiction, which is the poetry of Sassoon, and it heightens it into something different. And you're doing the same thing, and yours is a meta essay because you're writing about your own process of composing a poem, right? So your task is going to be, for your written assignment this time, to compose a poem of at least 14 lines in length, to have a identifiable rhyme scheme at the end. You can use a sonnet rhyme scheme or a simple ABAB, CD, or AABB, whatever works for you, but you're going to work with a particular structure on the end rhyme. And you're also going to be required to get one line of poetry from Sassoon that's in the book and put it into your poem. So there's a little bit of a challenge there I want you to have fun with. This creative outlet that you have in this essay, to me, is really important in our discipline because you're dealing with some horrible things, right? We had something lighthearted with Wilde and the importance of being earnest, but not now, and not with Tennyson either. World War I was the most inhumane war in terms of the way it was fought. It's one thing to drop bombs on people. Trench warfare was another thing. After the Civil War in the United States, the process of blood typing was mastered, so the possibility of transfusion would eventually come about. During World War I, they had the ability to save your life in a way that really questioned what life is, and so a lot of people came back, especially in Europe, from war, and they had a term for them in French called the mutilés. They were mutilated people. They might not have any limbs whatsoever, but their lives were saved by improvements in blood typing and other medical technologies. And that fragmentation of the person, seeing the person in pieces, started to become a metaphor for the way that literature moved on from that point forward. Actually, narratives in the modernist style, that's with a capital M, modernism, the worldwide literary and artistic movement started to be fragmented. Narratives started to be fragmented. We didn't know what truth was. We didn't know what characters had truth. We looked at things from multiple perspectives. And eventually we would get to the place called postmodernism, where there wasn't any truth, if you will. And I think that reality of the mutilés and seeing people come back from World War I with that really influenced it. The direction that the narrative structure of novels and short stories would take. So Sassoon was, a soldier. He was an emotional man. He saw what happened in front of him, and I think, like Hemingway did in writing a little bit later, he tried to give voice to some of these horrors in the most simple and the most direct way that he could. And the language that he chooses, that you'll see in the book, often comes across as just sort of being minimalist. But if you look at what's being said, it's well beyond that. Of course, Hemingway when we read Hemingway, and you don't have to do that for this course, but we talk about the iceberg theory. Like, there's a tip of the iceberg that you can see, and then 80% of the iceberg is below the surface of the water. That's where all the emotion is held, and you have to dig deep to find that. And so that's a challenge that you can use when reading Sassoon's poetry in Barker's book. The language doesn't often depict the depth of the horror. It's there, but you just have to process and reflect on it. Okay, so to repeat, get your book, work on this creative piece. Barker's Regeneration is part of a trilogy. It's a wonderful trilogy about the most horrible war ever fought, and a man who experienced it firsthand and wrote poetry about it. And you've got the simple task of writing a poem of at least 14 lines in length with a definitive rhyme scheme which honors Sassoon. So you're kind of channeling his inner voice. Attached to that poem, it's much more than the poem. So you're going to also write an explanation of why you wrote the poem the way that you did, what influenced you in the book. All of those things are mentioned in the prompt in detail. As always, reach out with questions. And if you want to run drafts by me or ideas by me or just talk, I'm always here. Reach out. Take care for now.